Hey, I'm Anna from Astraladytarot. Today I'm talking about twin cards, cards that have a similar energy, or cards rather that have a similar meaning between the major arcana and some minor arcana. Specifically the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, because that's the deck I started with, and I recently found my little book, actually full of information, and I write really small, so it's actually jam-packed, you could easily say. This was my first tarot study book journal in order to learn the cards, and I recently did a video about Jung and shadow and all that good stuff that we all like to talk about here on TarotTube, in order to find what I discovered back then about individuation and the self and the ego, all that stuff. I looked it up in this journal. And I started flipping through and feeling a little nostalgic, and I found some other cool stuff that I had forgotten about. Of course, there's so much in here. I can make a few videos out of this. So let me explain a little more clearly. This is not the typical, I think, because I haven't researched it and I have never really stuck to something like that. This isn't the official information that you might find in some actually printed books out there about some majors having twin cards. I'm sure some of them will be the same. This is just what I found in very early stages of studying the tarot, so I think that alone is interesting. Hopefully for you as well. Oh, funny, this was also in March. Okay. So I put a whole list of all the majors, starting with the Fool. Here we go. First card starting with the Fool. The twin card that I found is the Page of Swords. Now, I realize now, it's just a gut feeling, right, in the beginning, when you know what the card's about a little bit. I've always seen this Page of Swords, which is the page in the Rider-Waite-Smith system, is a young energy, and then the swords is of course the mind, so the idea, a little bit like not very serious and chaotic and out there. Funny, I said chaotic. It's like the Fool is chaos, you know, chaos before everything, the world is made from chaos. Chaos meaning nothing, just like in the Greek mythology and all that stuff. Not sure if any of that is completely correct, but just riffing over here, right? The Page of Swords, to me, has always stayed kind of like a Fool energy, but rather, you know, the Fool energy that says naive. I even wrote this down. Naive, this person doesn't have so many worries, doesn't really worry about things, like doesn't take that responsibility yet, you could say, has never lost in life yet, and that makes him also quite impulsive. And yeah, I think that one stuck. Interesting. What did I put for the Magician? For some of them they were crystal clear, and others I think I really had to dig a little bit, and for this one I believe I had to dig. The Eight of Pentacles with the Magician. Let me see what I wrote down here. Developing your talents and putting them in motion, or werking, putting them to use, you could say. So when you look at it that way, yeah, it's a match, pretty much a match. Because I think I also thought of the sequence in the Pentacles. You see the typical farmer card, right, of the Seven of Pentacles. Here we go, the Seven of Pentacles. It's someone who is looking at his crops that he helped grow and isn't sure if he wants to continue the work or what to do with them. And I believe that I made this sequence, because this 7 is the 8, into, well, he finally found what he wants to do with it, and now he's actually working it into something of his own. I believe that works with the Magician. Would I have put another card for the Magician nowadays? I'm thinking Wands. I guess Ace of Wands would also work, because it's also, of course, the first number. Yeah. Okay, let's move to the High Priestess. Yes, of course, High Priestess. This one I didn't forget either. I'm sure most people have this for the High Priestess, if this is like an exercise that you did for yourself, because that's what it was. It was just a fun way for me to get to know the cards, and I have many of these kind of types of exercises in this little book. Her twin card is the Queen of Cups. I really still see it the same way. Queen of Cups is so introverted, really is looking intently to that cup, and the High Priestess is also in between, is in between worlds. There's water behind her, and they have a very similar energy. This is the watery part of water, right? I have trouble saying that word in English. But there is so much of that intuition. There is so much of that introspection, like I said. And then what does water mean? It means the subconscious and unconscious, and looking to that female aspect, receptive aspect of oneself. I think that still fits. The Empress, yeah. I haven't checked this list. I don't know if you can tell, but I haven't checked the list. So I'm discovering it, rediscovering it at the same time as you are. But for the Empress, let's make it a guessing game. To me, this is of course, obviously, the Empress with the Queen of Pentacles. This is so the archetype of the mother to me. Much more than the Queen of Cups. Queen of Pentacles is the material, is the earth, is the, your earthly mother. And this is also, the Empress is also often described as earthly mother. They have so many things in common, these two. Even the color palette and the way that all of that green, all of that growth is drawn in these cards. I guess with all that growth around her, she is more like the Empress than other queens to me. I forgot, because I wrote it down here a few years ago. It also has the aspect of the cycles, of course, because they are both women, the Empress, the cycles, of course, but also here we have the cycles of, well, this could easily be seen as a child in her lap. Instead of a child, you have a pentacle here, and she's looking at it as if it's something that she has to take care of, and, you know, like a child. But to me, it's a project or something that's really important to you. Same difference. And here we have a hare, and it's still a star in my book. Yeah, that's like the renewal, the cycle. It's the rebirth of the nature. So all of that. I think I nailed this one back then. Okay, the Emperor. Oh, this is interesting. I picked the King of Swords for the Emperor. I can see that in the early stages of my tarot journey. Both of these cards came up a lot for me, even last year, I believe. I was really struggling with voicing my opinion, and sometimes even saying anything at all. And I feel that especially this one, of course, with the sword of the communication and the strategic thinking, all of that was depicting exactly what I needed to work on. And the Emperor is very much of that, me being my own boss, wherever in life. It has no limit. I am in control, or I should rather say, my body is mine, my soul is mine, my mind is mine, my actions are mine. And it's not only about owning it, literally, but also about taking responsibility for it. These two cards came up a lot for me during the time that I was really focusing on that, actually. So it was quite striking, and I got sick of seeing these men, okay? I got sick of it, but in the end they really helped me, and I quite love them now. So what I wrote down is that it's very strong male energy, structure, and order. I also wrote down, because I put the Queen of Pentacles, the mother archetype in my opinion, with the Empress. I also put the King of Pentacles as the archetypal father in my opinion, with the major arcana father. So the Emperor. But doesn't fit as well as this one does. I don't know, I think that with all of that orange and red and really warm colors, because I don't see the Emperor as cold, maybe the King of Wands would fit better. He is a little bit cold and distant. He's air of air, super analytical thinking. Nothing wrong with that, in my opinion, but maybe a little bit distant. Let's see how I feel about putting the King of Wands next to the Emperor. I don't know, maybe it's also the Seven of Wands in a way. Interesting, right? What life experience, or any experience for that matter, but especially life experience with tarot, does to your perception of the cards. They keep changing. The meanings of the card keep changing. Well, look, okay, I think this fits better. I feel already with the color palette this fits better. And the colors are there for a reason, right? There's a lot of fire in this card. I have my arms still in my robe, just trying to stay warm and comfortable. The card was full, but we're back. Yeah, I was talking about these two. What do you think? These two cards next to each other are like your father would be the topic, or your masculine side, something like that. But I would definitely mention, a dad figure. And I can still see the sharpness of the King of Swords, but I actually think this makes the Emperor a little bit more friendly in a way. Yeah, and I have people in mind for the court cards. That's also a way to get to know them better. I also mentioned the Seven of Wands, which is all about, for me, being strong and not let people push you around. And I think the Emperor also embodies that for me. Apparently the Emperor has become more fire than it was before. Let's see, High Priest or the Hierophant. I can tell which card I added in a later stage. Because at first, and I think it's surprising, I put the Page of Pentacles with the Hierophant. This is the student of the teacher. Okay. So I didn't actually found myself a Hierophant. I found the teacher, the student of this teacher. But it works. This has never stopped being the archetype of the student to me. The one who understands that it takes work and time and you're not going to get there in one day. And then I added the Three of Pentacles. Now I think it's good that I put a 3, because that does mean growth, and I really do see, like this, like in the Marseille, they are making a triangle up, so an arrow upwards, and I also see that here between the heads. And you also have that in the Chariot, for instance, between his head and the heads of the sphinxes or horses, depending on which deck you have. But there is that triangle growing spiritual aspect in this card. And he's kind of like a compass. Are you going the right way? The Hierophant. It's a challenging card to a lot of people, but it can very much be like a sign on the road telling you which way to go. Telling you that's the right way for you, that's the right direction, and this way, or in shadow, you don't know which way to go, or you're going in the wrong direction. Change something. Come on. I guess that ties into this card, but then also, of course, I still believe that they're in a church or kind of a sacred building. So I guess that's how they tie in with each other. This one's kind of challenging to find a twin card for. Let me see, it's the Lovers. Oh, of course. The whole reason I started researching twin cards is because when I first saw this card in the deck, I thought, oh yeah, the Lovers, because I had heard of a card in the tarot called the Lovers. And then later on, I saw this. I don't know, maybe I had already shuffled them or something before actually going through the pack. But it doesn't get more obvious than this, now does it? Lovers, two people, a man and a woman. Even the angel wings or the wings are very similar. Cups is love. The Chariot, also an easy one. Can you guess this one? In the Rider-Waite-Smith. What card goes along with the Chariot? The Six of Wands. Kind of obvious. But I like it. It's triumph, it's victory, it's coming back from battle or going again or, right? Pride. Strength. I love that card. It hasn't changed. Strength shows such beauty and kindness. And I immediately found that the Six of Cups is the sweetest, kindest card in the deck. So I put them together. What did I write down? Six of Cups. Giving love, embracing, accepting, friendship. I can still see that. You know, I guess the concept of twin cards, now that I think of it, is actually between the majors. And not every card has a twin card. It's like, I guess you could put Strength and the Magician together because they both have that lemniscate, that infinity symbol, or in older decks, that hat that make it look like they have an 8. I'm guessing the Chariot and the Star. We're gonna keep going. This is fun to me. 9, the Hermit. Yeah, I would still put that. What did I put for the Hermit? Can you guess? Hermit with the Four of Swords. It says rest, I'm translating, seclusion, and recharging. Wheel of Fortune, interesting. I chose an ace. Ace of Pentacles. Fortune and cycles. I think that works. I think that works better than the Ten of Pentacles, for instance. Because then you really see a whole family depicted. And this is, I see it more as an opportunity and as a change, rather. This is not really an ending, right? It's rather a beginning. But that's like the chicken and the egg story, so shouldn't have mentioned it. But if you read it as a fortune way, something is given to you. Oh, there's a girl dancing in the window. Don't worry, the window's closed. She's cute and bored, probably. Hi. Anyway, I think it fits. 11, Justice. I already know. Justice. I never forgot this, because they both have scales. It's about balance and karma and giving and taking. Then later on, I also added in my mind the Sword. So it's a combination. I would say Justice, especially in this deck, is a combination of these two cards. Don't you think? He sees the truth because his feelings don't get in the way. For the Hangman, I put the Four of Cups. I guess it would be a 4 because it is not about stability, it's about not acting, not doing anything. And I think I just went with my gut feeling of these poles kind of looking like a tree because they are alive, they have that green, and then this tree right here. I'm thinking this card rather than the Four of Swords, for instance, which I had put with the Hermit. Folded legs and the arms crossed or behind the back. Yeah. I had written down for those contemplation and turning inwards. Then we have Death, Arcanum number 13. I remember this one. The Six of Swords. Just because in this deck, it looks like that crossover. The river, it's the journey and leaving someplace, leaving somewhere. The emphasis in this depiction is on the leaving aspect rather than oh, I'm going somewhere new, it's a great adventure. It's rather on that trip, leaving, saying goodbye. Which I guess works. Temperance is... okay. I can see why I put the King of Cups with Temperance. Drawing alone. Wings? Similar idea of protection, of... but still, being organic. And then I always notice that the King of Cups is the only king who has an object in each hand, which to me makes him more balanced. And it's about cups, it's feelings, it's emotions. You could easily think these two things are cups, even though this one is a scepter thing, but it looks like a receptacle anyway. They could easily be the two cups with the water. And of course it's about mixing fire and water, but I didn't know that back then. I stand by this because I think it looks great. Maybe now I would put the Knight of Cups because it's fire and water. But actually no, because it's not a messenger. In the Temperance card it's all about center. So you're not really moving, you are connecting aspects of yourself. You're combining aspects of yourself, making something whole. These two cards I put, it's about calm, serenity, understanding, and balance. Why didn't I put the Nine of Cups, though? Because this is such a self-love card, and so is this. Guess I wanted to see that balance a little more. Devil, I paired with the Eight of Swords. I guess because you only think you're trapped. That's the first Rider-Waite-Smith meaning we find in books these days or all over the internet, right? That you are one of these creatures or people, and that the chains are loose and you can free yourself. Same here. She can walk away. Of course, there's more to the devil. I know that now, but it does, work. What did I write down? Oh yeah, just trapped inside oneself. The devil we have inside. Let's move on to the Tower. I paired the scariest card with the scariest card. The impact has happened. Now you can move on without lies. I saw the Star as the Nine of Cups. Self-love and wish. Yes, of course. Why didn't I see that? You wish upon a star, and this is considered the wish card. Then there's also cups, two cups. There's also that aspect of the bird flying free, freedom, and I always see the 9 as you're kind of finding your own path, your own life. Then we have the Moon. Yes, I also never forgot this one. Of course, the Moon pairs with the High Priestess. I love the Moon, okay? It's not a negative card in my book. No card is negative, actually. No card is positive. But it is about illusions. It is about not seeing clearly when it's night. With only the moonlight, imagine you only have the moonlight. And some nights the moon is really bright and you can see quite clearly, but still things are distorted because you can't see as well as during the day with the sun. And so your mind kind of takes over. And I feel that that happens here, in that vision here, where you are tempted to make bad decisions, and also it's because you don't see clearly. It's because you have a filter in your mind, or in your heart even, that makes you focus on the wrong things, on things that don't matter, on things that will eventually rot. That's not what you want. So there is that whole illusion, unknown, fear kind of thing in there. What did I write down? I wrote down insecurities, illusions, doubt, and tests. That is interesting, because here it's a test, of course, as in what are you going to choose? Are you going to choose what is right for you? Truly right for you? whatever that is. And here there's a test, of course, between the two towers. Are you going to get hit by lightning, struck by lightning upon walking that path, or are you going to be spared because you are deemed worthy? Well done, former me. The Sun paired with the Ten of Cups. Oh yeah, I guess I would still do that. For a second there I was like, hey, a rainbow. Isn't there a rainbow in the Temperance card? But no, that's only in the Golden Rider. I have that one over there, but we're talking about this deck, and still wouldn't fit, right? No, wouldn't fit. This fits. Why not? What did I write down? Well, a child, I wrote down. A good omen. An openness. Yeah, this is all stuff we like to see. If you're one of those people who doesn't like the baby on the horse, maybe not, but I really quite like him or her. Doesn't matter. It could easily be your reborn self. Judgment. I paired, apparently, with a card that most people would see as Justice, actually. Two of Swords. Now I know in the Rider-Waite-Smith the Justice card isn't blindfolded, but Lady Justice often is depicted as blindfolded, and so is this woman in the Two of Swords. So interesting that I didn't pair Justice with the Two of Swords. I paired Judgment with the Two of Swords. Let's see what I wrote down. Making decisions, it has to happen now. Yeah, I guess in learning the meaning of the Judgment card, it really said now or never kind of energy. Like, you have to choose now. You have to choose either yes or no. Or now I rather see it as an alarm clock, a big cosmic alarm clock, making that noise, making you hear the call. It sounds super dramatic, but that is how I see it. You wake up, you have been in a slumber, you have been dead, and now you have to wake up and take your life into your own hands and live your life. Be awake. I don't know if I really see that in Two of Swords. It's a fun game because it's impossible. Last card, the World. Ooh, okay. Where are you? I chose the Ten of Pentacles, apparently. Here I wrote down completion, feeling complete, happiness, a whole person, being a whole person. You can see that here, the hermaphrodite, you have successfully incorporated your male and female side. You are complete. And then here, there is that sense of completion. Oh my god, I had no idea. Okay, the last card in the tarot is the Ten of Pentacles. The Ten of Coins, the Ten of Discs. That's fascinating, isn't it? That we just tap into these things that I didn't know that. This is the last card. This is like the culmination of everything. You have successfully manifested everything that you wanted or needed. Or at first I wanted to say, I know also with the Ten of Pentacles, it's about creating something bigger than yourself. But it's also quite amazing that this is actually the last card in the deck. The last card in the entire deck. And this is a Crowley idea, I think, that I've picked up. But it's so true. And the fact that these two I put together years ago, quite happy about that, must say. Now I know there are other options. This is just a little game that I played to learn the cards. And I am encouraging you to do the same if you are learning. It's a lot of fun. Please don't let my picks influence your answers. You learn so much. You learn how you see the card also. That's what I'm saying. I love it so much because learning the tarot isn't only about learning the tarot, it's a reflection, a complete reflection of yourself, where you are in that very moment. I wrote this down, why that was happening, why that was there, what was on the surface at that point in time. For instance, with the whole Emperor, King of Swords story. It also depends on which deck you have, especially when you're first learning, because then you really go with what you know, but you don't know that much, and you kind of go with the artwork, right? Which is why, a big reason why I paired the Four of Cups with the Hangman, for instance. Just an example. Finding the twin card between all of the majors and the minors is, I think, a good exercise. And it's not something that I invented, I believe. We know the concept of twin cards. I think this is a good one. Do it for yourself at home. Tell me how it went, and have a good week. I know most of us by now are at home. I am. And I'm not feeling that great, but I'm sure it's fine. I will soon start giving online classes. And of course, I'm here in Amsterdam. I still do readings like I do all the time through Skype, or even teaching through Skype. I have done that as well. With the tarot, every time it's important to have a good base, but also it's important to find the truth in you, I would say. Okay, have a good week, everyone.